Hello, and welcome to my first ever travel vlog. Join me for the first of many treks around the world and at home in the UK. In the first video I'll be braving the cold, trying to stay on my feet, all while taking in the sights of one of the smallest countries in Europe. Welcome to Luxembourg. A landlocked country bordering Belgium, Germany and France, Luxembourg is the world's only remaining sovereign Grand Duchy and has a population of around 660,000, which for context, if it was in the UK, that would put it roughly 10th on the list of the most populated cities, so relatively small. Their national language is Luxembourgish, although most of the population can also speak French, and a high percentage can also speak German and English. A shout out to Vanessa, who I met on the plane, and her nephew, whose name I have embarrassingly forgotten. We got chatting about travel and other things, and then when we arrived I took the bus with her and her nephew into central Luxembourg. They told me that because of how language is taught in schools here, most of the younger generation can speak fairly fluently in 3 or more languages, which is incredibly impressive. I started the day here at the Pont Adolphe, or Adolphe, I'm not sure which way is the correct way of saying that. It's quite a cool bridge, and you get some nice views over the park below, and not just from here, but also from the top, as you'll see in a bit, and also just underneath, which will make sense shortly. So this is what I meant by just underneath. So there's this walkway, as you're about to see, that is literally on the underside of the bridge, so you get some kind of interesting perspectives on the views that you would get otherwise on top of it or below. As you may have noticed by now, everything was covered in snow, so to me that just gives all the sights a little bit more of a magical touch. After a short walk below the bridge, of course, I had to go over it as well, and then see the park from the top, and yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty nice view. It was bloody cold though, so I did my best to keep moving as much as possible. Straight ahead we have the Gelfra, which is a monument to Luxembourg's fallen soldiers in the First and Second World War, as well as the Korean War, which I didn't know that they fought in, but you know, you learn something new every day. I did know that they fought in the First and Second World War. I was specifically referring to the Korean War. That was new to me. Then, as become a habit of mine, I had to pick up a magnet. I've been doing that for about 6 years now, and as you can see, the latest one to my collection was this nice kind of envelope style magnet, and it's now sitting proudly on my wall. To my right you have the Palais Grand Ducal, which is the residence of the Grand Duke of Luxembourg. Unfortunately, the guided tours are only during the summer, and as is obvious, I was not here during the summer, so I couldn't go and do the guided tour, but it was still nice to see it from the outside, and you know, seeing the local architecture and history on this side of things is something that always interests me and intrigues me when I'm abroad. I was there on a Saturday and they had this nice little food market in the Guillaume II Square, or in English, William II. Apparently, whole chickens is a thing here at markets, or on my research it said it was a German thing. I could be wrong. I was looking for specifically Luxembourgish foods, and unfortunately, as nice as most of this stuff looked, a nice lot of cheese and meats and that kind of stuff that's right up my street, there was nothing that was on my food list that I wanted to pick up, so yep, on to the next. The cheese did look good though, but when you're abroad, it's kind of like, what am I going to do with a block of cheese back at the hotel? After that, it was time for the first beer of my trip. I always have to try a local beer when I'm away. None of this, standard stuff you get in every pub in the UK. And Batan was my choice. A nice, wheat, citrusy beer. You can see there the Pfaffenthal lift. I have to apologise for all of my pronunciation in this video. It's probably horrendous. But yeah, this lift was quite cool. A very short ride actually, but it gives you a nice 360 view, or panoramic as they say, of this area of Luxembourg. You can see over there to the left the Pont Grande Duchesse Charlotte. when I eventually get the camera over there. Come on, sometime today, mate. There we go. And you got that kind of juxtaposition of the very modern with the old as you go down. I wish the ride down had been a bit longer. Kind of, you start to take it all in, get relaxed, and then you're at the bottom. But, you know, you get to do it all again on the way up, obviously. After a quick look around the area at the bottom, it was time to head back up. After a nice little stroll through this park, it was time to find my way to the Notre Dame Cathedral. No, not that one. Obviously a different one. Unfortunately, I only saw it from the outside. By the time I actually found the entrance, which seemed to be a little bit hidden, to me at least, they had a sign up saying you could only enter if you were praying, and I didn't want to be disrespectful. Time to live up to the British stereotype and have another beer, here at Luxembourg's oldest pub, the Inert de Steyler. As you can see, when I got inside, my lens started to mist up, so I thought I'd give filming a rest for a bit. Another shout out, this time to Anna, who works at the pub. She was quizzing me about my camera gear and asking me if I was a professional, to which I had to sadly answer, no, not at this time at least. After another swift half, I headed to the Le Chemin de Corniche area, which is the walls of the city that look over Grund. The view over Grund is spectacular, and it was still pretty busy, even in this freezing cold with tourists like me. It wasn't all selfies, as you'll see in a second though. You had a painter as well, and I'm sure the finished product would have been lovely, but unfortunately I didn't get to see it. After a long day of walking, it was time to head to the hotel. Check in, get to my room, and just chill for a bit. Not for too long though, as it was soon time to head out for dinner. The main station is just around the corner from my hotel, and I took the tram. What's fantastic about public transport in Luxembourg is it's completely free. Doesn't matter if you live there or not, you don't have to pay a penny for it. I really wish other countries would adopt this practice as well. I arrived at this place that was, it had a bit of a Christmas market vibe. Don't know whether that was just the snow, or because, you know, you had that almost kind of, you know, Bavarian feel to things as well, which the place I was heading also had. It was time to finally have some proper Luxembourgish food. Yep. Oh, yeah, no, not there. Oh, almost. Oh, there we go. The Big Beer Company. Must have taken them ages to come up with that name. The only microbrewery in Luxembourg, according to their information, and it turns into a nightclub later on at night, but I wasn't around long enough to see that. Another beer, of course, before deciding exactly what I wanted to eat. And if you don't like or can't eat potato, I'm afraid you're kind of out of luck. For starters, I had gromperkilchelcher, which are these little kind of potato pancakes. They say pancakes, but it was more like kind of rosties or hash brown to me, but still very tasty. For my main course, I had knidlin, which are like potato dumplings served in a creamy, almost bechamel-like sauce with diced bacon, and that's what I wanted to try most while doing my research, and they were yummy. With my stomach full of beer and potato, it was time to head back and get a good night's sleep. It wasn't a good night's sleep though, and it was nothing to do with the hotel. It was just some inconsiderate person playing music incredibly loudly until the early hours. The hotel itself was quite quirky, as you'll see going down the corridor here. Shoe shine? Does anyone still use those? Probably not. I think is that for telegrams or something? And then old British postbox. And as you'll see, going down, another one on the next floor down. And then another one. I checked out and had a quick little chat with the guy behind the desk, who was very nice. A lovely guy. A quick freebie on the way out, before doing something I try to avoid when I'm abroad. Yep, I went to a fast food place. If I do this though, I'll try to get something that you can't get back home. Which this was. Something with yet another piece of potato in it. With raclette cheese and some bacon and a burger. It was fine. I was heading home today, but there was one last thing I needed to tick off my list in terms of sightseeing. And that was here, the Cassemates de Bock. These caves were carved out in the 17th century while Luxembourg was under Spanish rule and formed one of the largest fortresses in Europe at the time. These old defences are part of what makes the city a UNESCO World Heritage Site, a title it has held since 1994. I did actually have one more thing to see. I say a thing, more a view that somehow I had managed to miss the day before. I headed down into Grund this time, taking care on the slippy path because I did not wear appropriate footwear. To here, the Pont de Grund, very aptly named that, and this view is one that you'll see if you Google Luxembourg. It's one of the first things that comes up. My camera's not really doing it justice here. It is very beautiful, and even more so I'd say if you go further back and get the bridge itself in the view. After that, sadly, it was time to start slowly heading home. A quick lunch with some inquisitive and clearly hungry birds. Then getting the bus back to the airport. Surely the saddest of times on any trip. The journey back to the airport wasn't very long. It's only about a half an hour journey from the city centre, which is nice and easy. And once again, completely free!
Block past Maple, that's John F. Kennedy Drive.
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Back at the airport, I had time to squeeze in one last Luxembourgish dish. The Flammkuchen. Kind of like a pizza, and again similar to knödeln, a white bechamel type sauce with bacon on top, and some onions. I have actually tried one in the UK before, but I picked it up from Tesco, so I don't really count that as having tried it. And there we have it. Time to get on the plane and go home. I was only in Luxembourg for a day and a half, and there is more I'd like to see, but I still think I managed to cram in a fair amount in my time there. Hopefully you've seen enough in this video to add it to your list of places to go. Even after my very limited time there, I'd still recommend it highly. As covered at the beginning of the video, this is my first travel vlog, so it's a little bit rough around the edges, but things can only get better. Hopefully you've liked what you've seen enough to like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.